those of you who don't know me, my name is Amit, and I've been working with Enrhythm for almost 8 years now. And I'd like to thank Enrhythm folks for giving me these nice 8 years. And I've been grown a lot on the cloud native side, and in fact, I have been doing this cloud native work with many financial firms, for example, Mastercard, Amex, E-Trade, and now I'm working with Admina Health. And I'm a AWS cloud architect. I have a certification with PCF also, and all thanks to Enrhythm. So let's get started. And so today's topic is about serverless orchestration with AWS Step Functions. So I don't know if you guys have already been working with AWS. AWS obviously is the market leader in cloud and cloud initiatives. And serverless, obviously, many companies are now moving towards serverless, where it's not technically it's not serverless. There are servers out there. Obviously, your code is running on something, but you don't own those infrastructure. So you just bring your code, deploy, give it to the provider, cloud provider. Could it be GCP, Azure? In this case, it's AWS, and it will run your serverless functions. It will run your code, and it's most of these cloud providers provide polyglot languages, which means you can write your code in any language of your choice. Could be Python, could be Node.js, could be Java. Obviously, I've been working in Java for a very long time, so I have done it in Java, but it could be done in any language of your choice. Now, obviously, so you have all these serverless functions. Now, they are running in silos. Now, how to orchestrate them? So that's where this AWS Step Functions comes in, where you can visualize, see what's happening with your serverless functions, and you can chain them together. And that's what we are going to see. And the problem and the use case which I have picked here is ETL. Let's say this is your data ingestion. Let's say you have the files coming in from the customers, and what you would like to do is now, as these files are coming in, you would like to process it and load it into the database, or probably create a reports out of it. So that's the problem we're going to solve. There are many use cases which you can run through. Could be DevOps related, could be ETL related, or could be even API related. So let's move on to the serverless functions. And the use case which we're going to discuss here is you have your customers. They are providing you some ETL files. The files could be coming in from, they are SFTPing the file. The files are landing in your one of the AWS bucket. So what happens next? Now here, in ETL, now if you look at ETL, in the basic form, what you have is you extract the data. Once you extract the data, the next step is you will be transforming the data. Probably you'll be summarizing the data. Once you summarize the data, next step is you will load or store the data. So in this case, just to make it things simple, we have two buckets here. One bucket starts with loading the customer data. We extract it, we transform it, we store it. And after that, we could use any of the AWS. In this case, it's a bucket, so we can use Athena queries to query the data, or it could have been a database. So extract the data need not be a bucket itself. The extract could be, you might be extracting it from data warehouse, might be extracting from a web page, or might be extracting from a REST API. Transform, you can have any kind of transformations here. And at the end, you store this data. And you can store it in a data lake, or any data or object of your choice. So how this solution has been implemented? So this solution has been implemented using the step functions. So what I have here is I have defined some steps in the step functions. Again, very simple example where we have three different steps. One is extract data. So obviously this whole solution is implemented on a single responsibility principle. Each step will have a single responsibility, where extract data will start with extracting the data from, in this case, is AWS bucket. It will pick the data from AWS bucket, extract the data, hand over to the transform data. Now, transform data will pick the data, transform it, and put it in a separate folder. Now transform data, and after the transform data is done, next step is load data. Now what load data is going to do is it's going to pick the data and push it to, so the ideal use case could be push it to the database or data lake, but in this case, it's going to push it to the AWS bucket, S3 bucket. So I'll move to the next step, which is demo. So so for this demo, let's imagine there is a customer out there who would like to upload the file. So they will be uploading this file to the S3 bucket. Once the file has been loaded to the S3 bucket, we would go through all these steps. Now, what I've done is I have set up a Sftp server on AWS, which will drop the file in the S3 bucket. So I will open, so you can use any Sftp tool. So currently I'm using FileZilla. So I'm gonna just switch the screen. I'm gonna take it to the FileZilla. So this is the FileZilla, and what I'm doing is, so imagine this is a customer. He has a file. He's a client of yours, and he would like to connect to and push a file. So right now I have a data file, and obviously this data file is not in a proper format, and we want to extract data from there. Just to give you a glimpse, it's a dummy file with some invoice details and everything, but we are interested in only this part of the data. We are not interested in any of this data above. So what we will be doing here is we'll move this file, and we are uploading the file. So as you can see here, the file has been uploaded. Now I'll just take you to AWS. Just give me 1 second here. So this is the AWS Step Functions. So as you can see here, the job has been kicked, and the extract upload file was called first. And in here, the input was one of the S3 file which we uploaded. And the output was we had extracted the file, and this is the file which has gone to the extract folder. The next step was transform the file, and you can see here, this has gone to the bucket and moved to the bucket name is ETL, and then it has gone to the transform data. And then last step was moving it to the we picked it from the transform folder, and the whole thing ended, and it was successfully executed. Now what happened, and also let me quickly show you the buckets. So we have, the file was originally loaded into the, bucket upload folder. After it was loaded to the upload folder, we have an ETL folder where we have extract. So the file was extracted here. After the file was extracted, we transformed it, and the transform file was created here. And after the transform was done, we loaded the file in this particular bucket. Now behind the scene, we are using Lambda functions. So I have 3 Lambda functions here. We have extract to extract the data, transform to transform the data, and finally load, just to load the data. Now, how all these functions are being called. Now, if I go back to the step function, so in the step function, if you look at the definition, the first step is extract. And for extract, this is my Lambda function. Right after this is executed. we are moving to the next step, which is called transform file. Now, transform file is the next step, and this is also one of the Lambda function. After this is completed, we are moving it to the load file, and finally we are loading it. Now, somebody might think that we are using the Lambda function. Is that the only choice? In fact, in step function is very versatile, and you don't need to use Lambda, or you don't need to use Lambda at all. Lambda is one of the serverless functions, but here you can even call SQS, you can call web services and REST services and extract the data from there. And in fact, you can kick off Glue. Glue is another AWS product for ETL, and it's a well-known ETL tool, Glue. So you can pick up the file, kick off Glue, pass on the file to Glue. So in the transform file, I could have used Glue as well, which will process, transform the file, and finally I can load it either through Glue, or I could even load it through the Lambda function. So you can mix and match. And the best part of this AWS step function is you don't have to stick to one set of technology. You can mix and match without even without even deploying the code. So you can just go here, just change the definition on the fly. You can change your endpoints. For example, tomorrow I write a Lambda function, or I have another process or Glue process which can load into a database. I could just replace this load. Or in fact, step function offers parallel execution as well. So even I can go ahead and execute something parallelly where I can load the data or load the file in S3 bucket as well as in the data lake. I'll go back to my PowerPoint. So now how we have implemented this solution. So if you look at it, on the very left, we have Sftp data file. So somebody or a client would be using the Sftp tool. Now in this case, we are using FileZilla, could be any Sftp tool of your choice, and loading the file in the bucket. After the file is loaded to the bucket, we are calling, I'll skip this event bridge step. I'll move on to the step function. Step function is executed. From there, it is calling first the extract Lambda, transform Lambda, and at the end, we are calling the load data, which is loading the data. Now, this is the state machine, execution state machine. So obviously, this state machine needs to be started or kicked off. Now, here in this case, the trigger point is once the client has loaded the data. Now, once the client has loaded the data, how are you going to kick off this process workflow? And that's where this event bridge comes in. So what happens in this case is, as the file is loaded into the bucket, message, or this is an event bus. So a message will be sent to the event bus, which is event bridge. To look, whenever a file is loaded, it will look at the file, and based on a particular bucket, it will kick a step function. So in this case, I have configured my step function and my bucket. So my bucket was upload bucket. So from upload bucket, it would signal workflow to kick off the step functions. Any questions?